Hello friends, I'm Mario Nuri, inviting you to our Bahamian Heroes 2025 edition of A Familiar Walk. This year we are privileged to have the Right Reverend Leish Boyd as our distinguished guest and our Bahamian hero. Join us as Bishop Boyd inspires us to be better, to strive for a brighter Bahamas, and he reminds us to enjoy our familiar walk.
Shake the dilly tree, dilly drop. Shake the dilly tree, dilly drop. Shake the dilly tree, dilly drop. Shake. Some dilly woman in the tree top. Some dilly woman make dilly drop. Right, some dilly. Some dilly woman dancing around. Some dilly woman going to town. Sweet summer dilly. Get a dozen for a quarter for your cousin or your daughter. So give me my frying pan, cause it's me for the goggle eye man. Some dilly woman in the treetop. Some dilly woman make dilly drop. Right, summer dilly. Some dilly woman dancing around. Some dilly woman foot to the ground. Sweet summer dilly. Get a dozen for a quarter for your cousin, your auntie, or your daughter. So give me my frying pan, cause it's me for the goggle eye man. Yes, it's me for the goggle eye man. So put the little woman in the treetop. Some little woman made the little drop. Right, somebody. Some little woman dancing around. Some little woman going to town. Sweet somebody. Got a dozen for a quarter for your cousin, your auntie, or your daughter. So give me my frying pan, cause it's me for the goggle eye man. Some little woman in the treetop. Some little woman make the little drop. Right, somebody. Some little woman dancing around. Some little woman going to town. Sweet somebody. Right, somebody. Right, somebody.
You're probably wondering what I'm doing here sitting in our amazing studio. Well, I'm preparing for my new show coming this fall. In Depth with Mukesh Lapinder is a Sunday magazine-style show with timely investigations and deep explorations into the country's ills and triumphs. So join me on Sundays at 10 a.m. this fall for long-form and engaging conversations. And remember, only the sun covers the Bahamas better.
At the Sydney Poitier Bridge, I'm Kaylin Green. This is ZNS.
You're tuned into the ZNS Radio and Television Network. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm LaDawn Davis. Thanks so much for tuning in. Tropical storm Imelda is moving away from the Bahamas after bringing heavy rain, strong winds, and high surf. Residents are still urged to stay cautious and follow all safety warnings until the all clear is given. For the latest, we're joined via Zoom by our chief meteorologist, Basil Dean. Basil, what's the latest?
Good afternoon, LaDawn. The latest coordinates from the National Hurricane Center, which was reported by a reconnaissance aircraft at 2 o'clock this afternoon, is putting the center of Tropical Storm Emilia at 27.2 degrees north, longitude 77.3 west. Now, that fix puts it about 40 miles to the north of Green Tulkey, Abaco, and Imelda is moving towards the north at 9 miles per hour. Maximum sustainment still at 60 miles per hour, and some further intensification is likely as it begins to pull away from the Abaco. Later on this evening and tonight over the extreme northwest Bahamas, at which time the all clear should be given by the Department of of meteorology, so we'll wait and see when that happens. Flooding continues to be the main feature of this system, and we anticipate some more showers this afternoon over northern Abaco, and the eastern portion of those showers should be able to be lifted as well. So we should be in all clear, hopefully, by this evening. LaDawn.
Thanks a lot, Basil. Well, as expected, Tropical Storm Imelda left flooding across the capital, but downtown Nassau, long known for rising water, stayed dry, while other communities were drenched. West Calix Forbes tells us more.
Meteorologists had warned that flooding would have been one of the biggest threats when it came to the storm. And while other parts of New Providence, such as Pinewood and East Street, saw water floods very quickly, downtown Nassau stayed flood-free. This was thanks to advanced work by the Ministry of Works.
From last week, the Ministry of Works full civil department and other members of the team at the ministry began assessing all major drains throughout New Providence, as well as culverts, to ensure that they were cleaned, properly backwashed, as well as the culverts to ensure that proper drainage occurred after we understood the amount of rain that would be experienced in New Providence. We also did this in Grand Bahama and as well as Abaco.
The preparation paid off in downtown Nassau, which avoiding the flooding that it is notorious for. But officials warned that other communities weren't as fortunate, and cleanup relief efforts is forthcoming. For the Bahamas Tonight, I'm Wes Calix Forbes.
Thanks a lot, Wes. Well, drainage crews were at work along Saunders Beach today as residents there dealt with significant flooding in the wake of Tropical Storm Imelda. Fern Carey reports.
Teams from the Ministry of Works will be working at Saunders Beach over the next 2 days, pumping water into the ocean in an effort to bring relief to residents in West Grove, St. Albans Drive, and Papal Track, where residents are grappling with almost knee-deep water caused by heavy rainfall dumped by Tropical Storm Imelda. Some motorists also chose to turn back rather than risk traveling through the heavy floodwaters in those areas. Senior engineer at the Ministry of Works, Dexter Williams, noted that portions of Saunders Beach will be off-limits to residents for the next 2 days to prevent them from entering the water while the exercise continues.
It's very fast-moving water and it's deep. So we do not want, as a matter of fact, we're going to put up caution tape later on as the day progresses, because we don't want any kids or anybody unauthorized to come over here because it's very dangerous.
Williams says that there was also flooding in the area of Saunders Beach and the six-legged roundabout on Thompson Boulevard for the first time. According to Williams, teams have been deployed in those areas to address the flooding. The move comes as Tropical Storm Imelda has moved away from Nassau and is now trekking towards Abaco and Grand Bahama. For the Bahamas Tonight, I'm Fern Carey.
Over in eastern New Providence, Danielle Dean hit the streets this morning to find out how residents fared overnight.
As you can see, raincoat, but no rain. Well, that's because a few minutes ago it was raining, and that's kind of been on brand for today. It's been a cyclical motion of rain, sunshine, and now we're hoping that, fingers crossed it doesn't rain again, especially anytime soon, because residents are just trying to catch themselves. Like one of the residents in this area, this is the Prince Charles Road that leads you onto the Eastern Road, and he's saying that this corner is always flooded when it rains.
We also have a pump that can pump the water out of our yard, but there's no point pumping it out because the street water is higher than what's in there. So we have to wait until they pump the street out, then we can pump our water out.
As you can see, each vehicle that comes through here is more likely to turn through either the left or the right corner because they want to avoid getting into this massive flooding. And even one of the residents said that, most of the vehicles that have passed through here this morning that have been so brave as to drive through this water have stalled out and have had to call a wrecker. So they're trying to avoid that right now. And most of the island is really, we're looking forward to the water subsiding and people being able to go back to normal, riding through any corner of their choice, taking their regular shortcuts.
This been happening from, how long I've living up here, about 54 years, and ain't nothing changed.
All morning, the cars have been stalling out.
Well, these wet streets and submerged sidewalks consistent throughout eastern New Providence, and residents there are laying low until streets are cleared. Back to you, LaDawn.
Danielle, well, flooding has long been an issue in the southern New Providence, particularly in areas near the sea. Here's Lloyd Allen.
Following significant downpours overnight, a number of areas affected by significant impact of flooding. Pinewood, which is a common flood-prone area, has its share of flooding, leaving residents scrambling for relief as well as an alternative route to avoid water. Also along the East Street corridor, there were areas inundated as a result of Imelda. We're here on the southern tip of Blue Hill Road speaking with Anthony Marsh, who is a resident of this area. Tell us about last night's rain, how it impacted this area.
Well, to be honest with you, we had high wind, about 25, 35 miles an hour. And there was rain and constant rain, but it wasn't heavy. As a result, it flooded some yards, half filled the road with water. But as you see right now, it subsides. So you have a little puddle here, a little puddle there. The water's now coming back from the canal. As you see, tide went out. And it's now filling back up the canal, going back into the Bonefish Pond.
And of course, residents in this area are hopeful that that transfer of water into the sea will continue throughout the day, helping them to traverse this area and throughout the island even better moving forward. For the Bahamas Tonight, I'm Lloyd Allen.
Operations resumed today at Lynden Pinling International Airport with only slight delays reported. The airport shut down at midnight Saturday as a precaution ahead of the tropical storm. With the all clear now lifted, Nassau Airport Development Company officials confirm LPIA sustained little to no damage. Vice President of Operations Jonathan Hanna spoke on the airport's reopening.
So as it relates to flight operations here at the Lynden Pinling International Airport, we received the all clear at about 6:30 a.m. from the Bahamas Met Department, indicating that it was safe for us to begin our initial safety inspections, and our team that was stationed here at the airport immediately began the same. Their role was to inspect all of the various critical pieces of airport infrastructure, such as our runways and taxiways on the air side, our terminal buildings, and obviously our land side infrastructure. Simultaneously, we began speaking with all of our various airport partners around restarting the operation in a coordinated way, and flight operations began at around 10 a.m. this morning. Right now, we do have some delays, which is not unexpected given the dynamic situation that it is. However, things continue to progress well, and I'd really like to thank all of the various airport partners that played a role. It's never easy just resuming operations, but it was really a coordinated effort on everyone's part, and so we thank them, and we will continue to monitor the progress as the day goes on.
The national airline has adjusted its afternoon schedule in response to the movement of Tropical Storm Imelda. Several flights were canceled today, including services to Rock Sound Eleuthera, Marsh Harbor Abaco, and Freeport Grand Bahama. Bahamas Air says it will continue to provide updates as new information becomes available. Meantime, Alive has closed all stores and mobile van locations in Andros, Abaco, Eleuthera, Grand Bahama, and right here in the capital until further notice due to the tropical storm. Executives say the network remains strong and reliable, with teams actively monitoring the situation to ensure uninterrupted service. Customers are encouraged to use the My Alive app to top up and stay connected. Stay close, the eye on the storm. Okay, Tropical Storm Imelda made her presence felt on the island of Abaco this morning, dropping lots of rain. Shane Stubbs has the latest.
That's right, Tropical Storm Imelda continues to make its trek over Abaco and is expected to tail off from the island sometime tonight, maybe into tomorrow morning. Now, as we rode around, we saw some glimpses of localized flooding, which was to be expected according to forecasters, which would be associated with the system as it moves through. Now, as you can see, I am standing in some inches of rain in a residential area, which doesn't necessarily pose a threat to anyone if they really wanted to move out and about, but I'd imagine that they're just going to wait until the all clear is given. Now, that is just one of the themes we spoke to Silbert Mills about over the phone earlier today.
I do take note of the flooding, and this is a national issue with flooding.
While there were no confirmed reports of homes taking on water, pockets of water, however, were left as a reminder of Tropical Storm Imelda's impact here on Abaco. But while heavy rain doused the northern island, Pastor Silbert Mills, a devoted voice for the island, happily reported that residents throughout the island fared well throughout the night.
From north and south, took this very serious, that this could have been worse. So I think we did well. The storm is basically mostly over now. The government system worked, the DRM worked, where they were holding a series of meetings in preparation. The shelter was open that held just under 100 people. And so everything went quite well as far as what I'm seeing.
However, Mills called for a little more sensitivity while issuing evacuation orders to avoid unnecessary panic. Nevertheless, he commended the residents for heeding the orders and understanding that things could have been a lot worse.
It doesn't have to take much for us to do what we need to do, having had the serious impacts of Hurricane Dorian. I thank God that it didn't intensify, and we really can't take another storm right now in Abaco. We're still, some people are still rebuilding, some have not built back. A lot of people are still in mobile homes, and a lot of these homes are not up to where they should be.
Now, of course, officials are still urging residents to remain indoors until the all clear is given. Once again, Tropical Storm Imelda is continuing its trek through the northwest Bahamas as expected to tail off sometime, maybe tonight into tomorrow. Live from Abaco, I'm Shane Stubbs. Back to you at the desk.
Thanks a lot, Shane. Well, Rumiko Knowles has been on the ground all weekend providing updates. He joins us now with the latest from East Grand Bahama. Rumiko?
While a tropical storm warning remains in effect for parts of the northwest Bahamas, in East Grand Bahama, the conditions were fairly mild during the early morning hours. However, around 2 o'clock this afternoon, those conditions began to change as the wind conditions began picking up.
I called the residents who was in Pelican Point. So I asked them how the condition is up there. They say they have light rain and light breeze.
The eastern end of Grand Bahama communities such as High Rock, Sweetings Key, and McLeanstown had been under mandatory evacuation orders as Tropical Storm Imelda approached, but residents report that conditions were far less severe than expected. Chief Counselor Danny Bean says while they are grateful, he does not want residents to get comfortable just yet.
Because the wind probably will pick up a little bit more as the storm moves away from Grand Bahama, but it will get stronger, develop as a hurricane, and then the feeder bands will get wider. And we're looking to have some rain, good bit of rain in East Grand Bahama. And also in Rocky Creek, they had a lot of rain earlier.
In Sweetings Key, where many had also braced for the worst, Chief Counselor Shervin Tate shares a similar sense of relief.
But with this one, I think most of them were saying, the one or two that stayed, you know, it's about probably 40 to 50 mile wind the most, they said. And the ones who stayed say their structure is very, very, fortified for this type of wind and rain that is coming. So they're all basically in one area where they're going to look after each other, but they know the danger.
For now, water remains off for residents there, and Chief Counselor Danny Bean is pleading for patience as officials monitor the storm's progress.
The water will be off until GB Utility get the all clear sign.
Now, as of 2 o'clock this afternoon, the all clear has not yet been given for the island of Grand Bahama. Officials say they will continue to monitor this system, and they are asking residents to remain off the road. Rumiko Knowles, ZNS Network News.
Now over in Grand Bahama, a number of residents were advised to evacuate their homes. We get an update from Matthew Muttonborough.
As it stands, Tropical Storm Imelda is forcing residents in low-lying areas to seek shelter due to its relentless weather conditions. We spoke with Assistant Director at the Department of Social Services, Jody Burrows, who says since the announcement of the storm's growth within the past 24 hours, there has been an increase in occupancy levels at the shelters within the city of Freeport.
We have had an increase. At last count, it was at 33. We are now at 47. Okay, so at this point, up to 12:30 a.m., we had 5 in shelterees in the special needs shelter, Christ the King. We had 21 shelterees at Morrismore Primary.
Burrows says she is expecting more individuals to occupy the shelters as weather conditions worsened, and is advising the public if there is one asset people must have is adequate medication for their respective illnesses and conditions.
Even though you're not necessarily going into a special needs shelter, you may have some medical conditions that require medication. So we really advise you to ensure that you have all your medical necessities in order to ride out this weather. because you will not have access to medication, you will not have access to pharmacies, so we advise you to do that.
And for the families, mainly children, she is advising parents to ensure they have the necessary amenities to be as comfortable as possible until the all clear has been given.
Please ensure that they have something to keep them occupied. That may be their electronic devices, as well as books, toys, snacks for your children, some food items as well. Whatever it takes to make you as comfortable as possible without bringing the kitchen sink.
Now, as Tropical Storm Imelda is continuing its northward trend through the country, until an all clear has been provided, residents need to stay indoors and remain safe. While doing so, it is advised to monitor all relevant pages for more weather updates. For the Bahamas Tonight, I'm Matthew Martin Burrow.
Stay close, we've got more on the eye on the storm right after this quick break.
The DRM Authority 2025 Official Hurricane Shelter List. Abaco Central District. Central Abaco Primary School, Marsh Harbor. Friendship Tabernacle, Dundas Town. Guanakee Primary School, Guanakee. Manawar Primary School, Manawar. Hope Town Primary School, Hope Town. Abaco Northern District. Amy Roberts Primary School, Green Turtle Key. Faith Walk Church of God Community Center, Cooperstown. Grand Key All-Age School, Preschool Block, Grand Key. Abaco Southern District. Crossing Rocks Primary School, Crossing Rocks. Moores Island School, Moores Island. And Soul Seeking Ministries, Moores Island. And that was the list of the 2025 Official Hurricane Shelter List of the DRM Authority.
Hey y'all, what's up?
Hey, what's that?
What y'all getting?
Listen, I've been waiting to march down some lobster, yeah?
Hi, I'm Matthew. I will be you guys' waiter today. Can I take your order?
I've been jonesing for some grouper dread.
Y'all see this?
See, this ain't gonna work. Where the fish gone though?
But how though?
Don't leave our children with no fish in their future. Protect our sea. Protect our way of life. Protect the Bahamas. To learn how you can help, find us on Facebook at Bahamas Protected. See the future.
Relatives and friends are mourning the sudden passing of mortician Keith Mweeny, owner of Restview Memorial Mortuary, who was reportedly found dead at the funeral home this morning. Staff gathered at the mortuary shortly after the news emerged to offer condolences and support to the deceased's family members on site. Several employees described Mweeny as a quiet man who was skilled and dedicated to his craft.
When I got the call this morning, it was pretty much devastating. He's a colleague of ours, and in this industry, there's not very many of us. There are only about 30 or so plus funeral homes. So each one of us have a role to play in each other's lives.
I must say, without Keith, I don't know if I would ever be a mortician. Because when he had found an interest that I have really to be a mortician, he pulled up his catalog and he found a place, Mid-America in Louisville, Kentucky. This is when I was enrolled in Mid-America and went off to college.
Colleagues and friends here at the Broadcasting Corporation of the Bahamas are mourning the passing of Environment Minister, the Honorable Vaughn Miller, who died yesterday. A former BCB director is remembered for his dedication, professionalism, and lasting impact on both the organization and the wider community.
He was, for me, a mentor, as I mentioned, a friend, a guide, someone you could always go to. And he'd even pull you aside if you did something that he was not pleased with, or you may have said something or done something that was untoward, you know, in your maturation growing up. I came to the Broadcasting Corporation of the Bahamas 2004, so I was a young man back then, relatively young, and I've learned a few things over the years, but he was the one who taught many of us youngsters what it is to be a professional, what it is to be an announcer.
But one thing I can say about Vaughn Miller, too, is that he coined this phrase when he came back to the corporation. He said, God bless the Commonwealth of the Bahamas and make the wealth more common, which meant that he wanted the wealth to distribute to the common folks. And if you know anything about Vaughn Miller, Eleuthera was near and dear to his heart. South Eleuthera, to be exact. Green Castle, to be exact, because, you know, that's where he's from. His family, the Millers, the John Millers Association, Vaughn Miller really loved South Eleuthera, and his mom, Mrs. Miller, Miss Miller. We say condolences to her and the entire family.
Well, that does it for this update on Eye on the Storm. Joining us again at 6 this afternoon for a live press conference from the Office of the Prime Minister, where the nation's chief will provide an update on the storm, as well as his recent trip to the United Nations, followed by the National Report, and then a rebroadcast, the press conference at the Office of the Prime Minister. Just one station has you covered. Remember, only the sun covers the Bahamas better than the ZNS network. Stay safe, everyone.
The DRM Authority 2025 Official Hurricane Shelter List. Grand Bahama, Western District. Bethany Baptist Church, Hannah Hill. Church of God of Prophecy, Sea Grape. Central Zion Baptist Church, Pinedale. Church of God of Prophecy,